Waitress returns Billionaire's lost diamond ring uncovers an incredible, life-changing secret. In Cedar Grove, where dreams mingled with the smell of fresh pancakes and coffee, Sarah had seen her fair share of heartwarming moments at Ma's diner. Little did she know, one ordinary summer afternoon was about to shift her life forever. As buzz and laughter filled the cozy space, she spotted a glimmer beneath a booth, a diamond ring, unlike anything she had ever seen. Her pulse quickened. It sparkled, radiating wealth and desperation. That ring didn't belong in her world. It felt like a scene from a movie, with emotions swirling. She imagined the owner, heart racing, frantically searching. I can't just ignore this, she thought, biting her lip. Not when her son Jimmy relied on her for everything. This wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was hope wrapped in gold, a potential lifeline to someone out there. With determination, she pocketed the ring and set off to track down its owner. She never imagined it would lead her to a high-end hotel, where the air smelled of luxury and the walls whispered secrets. There, amidst plush carpets and ornate chandeliers, stood Jack, a charming businessman with a magnetic smile that could stop hearts. It struck her, this man, with his tailored suit, was the ring's rightful owner. Their eyes locked, an electric moment bursting with unspoken words. "Is this yours?" She stuttered, the ring in her hand feeling heavier than her wildest dreams. The initial connection was undeniable, yet everything screamed their differences. His polished life felt galaxies apart from her humble diner existence. They started talking, and the contrast felt like a punch. Jack was suave and poised, yet his laughter faltered when Sarah shared a piece of her life, revealing the struggles she faced as a single mother. The more they spoke, the more she saw through that polished veneer to the scars hidden beneath. He, too, was not untouched by hurt and expectations. As she spoke about her estranged father, a veteran whose pride held him captive, a knot formed in her chest. His ghost loomed over her ambitions, a reminder of lost passion and fractured bonds. Just as they began to build a fragile bridge across their worlds, a shadow from the past loomed heavier than before. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, an unexpected revelation struck, a connection neither had anticipated. Sarah realized her lineage intertwined with Jack's family history, flipping their worldviews on their heads, unraveling everything she thought she knew about her past. Rumors started swirling in the room, the diner community buzzed with whispers. They were caught in a storm between privilege and hardship, with each question lingering between them. Sarah felt the air growing heavy. Would the truth forge them together or tear them apart? Clutching the diamond ring, she held her breath, teetering between old debts and new beginnings. Heart racing and palms sweating, she felt the weight of the moment. Would she dare reach for the uncertain chapter unfolding before her? What truth awaited them behind those sparkling smiles? The silence between Sarah and Jack hung in the air, thick with possibility and tension. They stood in that opulent hotel lobby, surrounded by the hum of well-dressed patrons. Yet, in that moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the universe. The world around them faded as they tried to grasp the enormity of their connection. "Are you saying my grandmother? She was from Cedar Grove?" Jack's voice wavered as he leaned slightly closer, searching her expression for confirmation. There was disbelief mixed with curiosity. The kind of desire to kindle understanding rather than push it away. "Yes, I believe she is," Sarah whispered. The truth was startling, like a bolt from the blue. The threads of their lives had woven together without either of them even knowing. Jack's forehead creased in thought. This revelation untangled a knot deep within him. There were stories he hadn't heard, faces he hadn't recognized. Names spoken in hushed tones around family gatherings suddenly came alive, igniting a fire of ancestral mystery. "What does it mean for us?" he asked, the question heavy with implications. Sarah shrugged, her heart thudding. She was as overwhelmed as he was. Discussing family ties felt monumental, but discussing their future? That brought a whirlwind of anxiety. "I don't know," she admitted, biting her lip. "I don't know what we're supposed to do with this information." Jack blinked as if moments earlier they had been strangers, and now they were somehow entangled in each other's histories. What if we could find out more? What if there's a legacy waiting to be uncovered? His voice took on an eager tone, that polished businessman shining through again. Yet there remained a flicker of vulnerability, the same unprotected human beneath layers of expectation. Realizing the enormity of his words, Sarah felt the pull toward adventure but was equally terrified of it. Her pulse raced with both excitement and fear. Their lives weren't just different, they were worlds apart. She thought of her son, Jimmy, and the struggles that each day held. Would diving into Jack's world pull her further from the life she had built for him? "I need to think about this, about everything," she finally responded, too aware that this was more than just a casual conversation. The gravity of silence clamped down again. Let us take time, then. "We don't have to rush," Jack offered, that charming smile dimming a bit as he sensed her hesitation. "But I'm not leaving Cedar Grove without you knowing what this could mean. You matter, Sarah, to me and to this connection." His earnestness wrapped around her. She had never felt so seen before. Yet the idea of them exploring these newfound ties together terrified her. Would it uproot her, or could it ground her in ways she hadn't imagined? What if this connection didn't just unravel their pasts but also demanded an uncomfortable reckoning with their present? As they exchanged lingering glances, a staff member approached them with a clipboard. "Excuse me, sir," he said, directing his attention to Jack. "We need you in the conference room. They're waiting." He turned back to Sarah, the moment slipping through their fingers like grains of sand. "Please think about it," he pressed. "We'll unravel this together." With one last penetrating look, Jack turned and walked away, leaving Sarah enveloped in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The diamond ring felt almost warm in her pocket, a reminder of choices yet to be made. Could she truly step into this new world and take another chance? As the distant sounds of laughter and clinking glasses returned to her awareness, she took a deep, calming breath. "What happens now?" she murmured to herself, staring at the now empty space where Jack had stood. What if the search for answers brought both blessings and burdens? Would she dare explore the depths of her new reality? The weight of uncertainty hung heavily, but in the depths of her heart, a flicker of hope ignited. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her back to reality. It was a message from Jimmy's school. He needed help. With a project due soon. Would she have time to juggle it all? She glanced at the hotel's entrance and felt that knot tightening again. Could she balance her commitment to her son with the pull of this new discovery? And would Jack wait for her response, or move on? She had a choice to make, and it loomed like the shimmering diamond ring nestled in her pocket. Would stepping into the unknown bring her happiness or more heartache? Sarah took a resolute step forward, deciding that she would not run away from this new chapter. She deserved to know. As she left the opulent hotel behind, her heart one beat closer to the clarity that awaited her. She felt the path ahead growing clearer. But what would she find when she finally crossed that threshold into Jack's world? The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, casting golden rays across Sarah's breakfast table. She poured herself a cup of coffee, the rich aroma swirling around her like a comforting blanket. But instead of relaxation, the tension from last night returned, knotting her stomach. What would today hold? She glanced at Jimmy's school schedule pinned to the fridge. Science fair. The words echoed in her mind as if they held the weight of the world. They had been planning for this day for weeks, and Jimmy was counting on her. "Mom!" Jimmy's voice broke through her thoughts, light and bright. He bounded into the kitchen with a huge smile, his oversized backpack swinging wildly behind him. "Are you ready to see my project?" Sarah stirred, a smile adjusting her face. "Of course. Let us see it." She watched with a sense of pride as he pulled out a colorful poster brimming with drawings and notes about the solar system. "Did you know Jupiter has a storm that's bigger than Earth?" His eyes sparkled with excitement. "Wow, that's amazing!" she exclaimed, her heart swelling. Seeing him so passionate drew her worries to the background. "Tell me all about it." As Jimmy recounted facts about planets and space, Sarah's thoughts flickered back to Jack and Cedar Grove. Wasn't there something more she needed to chase outside of these kitchen walls? Yet, standing here, experiencing this moment with her son, felt just as significant. After breakfast, she helped Jimmy with his project, sealing it all in a beautiful folder. But when he left for school, the quietness that filled the house felt heavier. The diamond ring in her pocket became a reminder, a symbol of paths not yet taken. She needed to respond to Jack, to decide if she could embrace whatever adventure lay ahead. Driving to work, each passing street felt different, rich with unseen possibilities. She pulled up outside the diner she worked at, heart racing slightly. The familiar neon sign flickered against the morning sky, and as she stepped inside, the old smells of coffee and grease welcomed her home. But was it home? The question tumbled around her mind like a hot shot of espresso. She exchanged pleasantries with her co-workers, avoiding the more probing questions about her meeting with Jack. Could they sense the shift? Midway through her shift, a couple walked in, laughing and sharing hushed secrets. Their energy was infectious, igniting something inside her. A bump in the road of her routine. As she took their order, the man caught her eye and smiled, a warmth that took her by surprise. "Excuse me, are you okay?" he asked, concern mingling with curiosity. "Just thinking," she replied, forcing a smile. "Don't let the weight of the world bring you down." "It's a gorgeous day," he said, and she felt a hint of sincerity. His words echoed in her mind long after they left. She needed to find a balance to keep her son's future secure while exploring her unknowns. Maybe the search for family ties wouldn't just be about Jack. Maybe it could bring new opportunities for herself and for Jimmy. With the thought of taking a leap, Sarah stepped outside for a moment, the wind brushing against her skin, pulling her thoughts into the light. She fished out her phone, heart pounding as she hesitated over texting Jack. Should she take that first step toward unraveling everything? The question burned bright in her mind. Would the pursuit of her past only complicate her present? Or could this intertwining of their lives connect her to something far greater? She typed a message, fingers trembling slightly, then hesitated. Would opening this door lead to joy? Pain? As she hit send, the weight of her choice hovered in the air, pregnant with possibility. The reply came almost immediately. An invitation to meet at the cafe down the street from the hotel. The space between what she knew and what was to come stretched like a tightrope beneath her feet. Could she walk it without losing her balance? Feeling the air shift around her with anticipation, she whispered, "Here we go," as she started her car, knowing that this moment would set everything into motion. What awaited her on the other side of that meeting? Sarah parked her car in front of the cafe, her heart thrumming in her chest. The little spot was well loved, with blue shutters and blooms bursting from window boxes. Inside, the scent of fresh pastries mingled with coffee, lifting her spirit. A bead of courage nestled within her. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the door, the bell chiming softly. Her eyes scanned the room, landing on a familiar figure, Jack, his back toward her. He was engrossed in his phone, a casual posture that almost made him seem approachable. Yet, the weight of their shared history loomed between them like a thick fog. As she approached, he looked up, his expression shifting to a smile. Her chest tightened. "Hey, you made it," he said, his voice smooth yet tinged with nervousness. Hey, she replied, forcing a smile back. They settled at a small table by the window. Outside, the world seemed to move on carefree, but inside, the air sat heavy with unspoken words. Thanks for coming, he began, rubbing the back of his neck as if trying to ease an unseen ache. I know it's been a while. She nodded, unsure where to start. The diamond ring in her pocket felt like a reminder of what could have been, of dreams and disappointments interwoven. It was now or never. I got your message about Cedar Grove, she said slowly. You want to reconnect? Is that what this is about? His gaze faltered for a moment, then steadied. Yes. There's so much I've wanted to explain. I owe you that much. His sincerity pulled at her heart. Memories flooded back, the laughter, the dreams they once shared. Could they really rewrite their story? The thought was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. Before she could respond, their server approached with bright coffees, setting one in front of each of them. Anything else I can get for you? She asked, smiling warmly. Jack cleared his throat. Just the chance to talk, he said, glancing back at Sarah with a seriousness that sent a fluttering sensation through her stomach. Okay, she breathed, trying to center herself. As they shared small talk, memories drifted in and out like watercolor on a wet canvas. It felt light at first, but gravity soon took hold. They both knew they had to delve deeper. Sarah, I need to tell you something, he began, his voice dipping low. The tone tingled with foreboding. She leaned in, anticipation swirling in her chest. I've been working on finding the truth about my family, he continued, eyes locking onto hers. And I think we might be closer to finding out more about your past than you realize. Her eyebrows shot up. My past? What do you mean? He hesitated, and in that moment, she could see the conflict flickering in his eyes. There are connections, unexpected ties, and I think before he could finish, a sudden crash interrupted, shattering their moment. A tray slipped from the hands of a customer nearby, the clattering dishes echoing through the cafe. Everyone turned to look. Jack's expression shifted as he glanced around the room, but Sarah's heart raced with something more. A revelation was waiting, barely out of reach, teetering on the edge just like her before this meeting. When things settled, he turned back to her, a determined light in his eyes. I'm going to find answers. And I want you with me, Sarah. His words sank in, electrifying and frightening all at once. What if this journey led them somewhere they never expected? Could she dare to dig up the past, knowing the present might unravel in ways she couldn't imagine? As she opened her mouth to respond, the door swung open, a gust of wind carrying in an unexpected visitor, an older woman with striking features. Only her gaze wasn't on anyone in the cafe. She locked eyes with Sarah. The world around them faded as the mystery and possibilities surged like a tidal wave. Who was this woman, and what did she know that could shift the ground beneath their feet? The question simmered in the air as they watched her approach, the once bustling cafe now heavy with anticipation. Suddenly, everything felt intertwined, their paths converging in unexpected ways. What secrets lay ahead, waiting just beyond the reach of their grasp? As the older woman approached their table, Sarah's heart raced faster than before. There was something both familiar and unsettling about her presence. Her silver hair framed a face lined with the wisdom of years, but her piercing green eyes held an intensity that made Sarah squirm in her seat. Excuse me, dear, the woman said, her voice smooth yet strong. I couldn't help but notice you at the table. Jack shifted, clearly just as perplexed as Sarah. Can we help you? He asked, leaning forward. I think perhaps you can, the woman replied, her gaze unwavering. I'm looking for someone with ties to Cedar Grove. At the mere mention of the words, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. It was the last place she wanted to discuss, yet here they were, the two of them sitting with a stranger who seemed to know more than they did. What do you mean? Sarah asked cautiously. The woman's expression softened, almost as if she understood the weight of their shared confusion. "I have something for you, something that belongs to you," she said, pulling a small velvet pouch from her handbag, its fabric shimmering subtly in the cafe's light. Jack's brow furrowed, and he glanced at Sarah, then back to the woman. What could possibly belong to her? Ignoring him, the woman carefully opened the pouch and revealed an ornate diamond ring, sparkling like a star trapped in a delicate band. "This is yours," she declared, sliding it across the table. "Or at least, it should be." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She recognized it instantly, the ring she had once chosen with Jack when they were dreaming about a life together. The memories flooded back like a dam breaking. Late-night conversations, dreams of a home filled with laughter, and the pit in her stomach that had come with disappointment and loss. "Where did you find this?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman smiled kindly, her eyes brimming with understanding. "It was left behind some years ago. I came upon it while helping a friend in Cedar Grove." Jack's interest piqued, he leaned even closer. "And you feel it belongs to her?" "I know it does," the woman replied, her gaze steady. "But more than that, there are layers to this story. Connections that run deep and entwine your lives together in ways you have yet to uncover." Sarah felt the weight of her past intertwine with her present. This was no mere coincidence. The universe was pushing her to confront the truth about herself and Jack. "Wait, are you saying there's more to our past?" Sarah asked, her heart pounding as she exchanged glances with Jack. "Yes," the woman said, the weight of her words hanging in the air. "And not just yours. This ring represents a bond that stretches beyond what you know. A family secret that could change everything." The cafe fell silent around them, the other patrons engrossed in their conversations fading into a hushed backdrop. Jack looked equally entranced and alarmed, like someone had flipped a switch inside him. "Tell us," Jack urged, his voice steady despite the tremor of urgency. "What is this secret?" The woman's features turned somber, her gaze flickering between them. "You need to prepare yourselves for what you may find. Because once you start digging, there's no turning back." A wave of dread washed over Sarah. Could she face what lay buried in the shadows of her past? With the diamond ring lying before her, she needed to decide, was she ready to unearth the truth, no matter how unsettling? As they stared at the ring, an unsaid agreement passed between them. They both understood the stakes. "Will you help us?" Sarah asked, her voice steadying. The woman nodded slowly, a knowing look glimmering in her eyes. "I will. But remember, every answer may bring more questions, and the truth can sometimes be harder than the mystery." With her next words, Sarah felt an unfamiliar resolve swell within her. It was time to confront the past, to explore the reasons behind the dreams they once shared and the paths that had since diverged. What truths are we about to uncover? Sarah thought, clutching the ring tightly as anticipation fluttered in her heart. Just as they began to dive deeper, the woman's phone buzzed loudly. She glanced at it and her eyes widened. "It seems the answers are closer than I thought. We may have visitors soon." The air shifted once again. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the cafe felt alive with expectation. Who else was about to walk through that door? Was this going to be another twist in their carefully woven fate, or an opportunity that would unveil another layer of their intertwined story? The cafe's door swung open with a light chime, and in walked a tall figure, cloaked in an air of confidence. A young man with dark hair and a sharp suit scanned the room as if he were searching for a familiar face. Sarah's breath caught again, a mix of surprise and recognition coursing through her veins. "Is that?" Jack whispered, leaning closer to Sarah. The woman across from them nodded gravely. "Yes. You know him." The sight of him brought a rush of memories flooding back, laughter and warmth, but also pain and betrayal. His name flickered in Sarah's mind like a candle in the wind. Jonathan. The one who had once filled her life with dreams, before they crumbled to nothing. Jonathan's gaze landed on their table, eyes locking with Sarah's. His expression shifted from surprise to something like relief, and he hurried over. "Sarah? Is that really you?" "Jonathan," she breathed, emotions swirling within her heart. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you," he replied, his voice steady but his eyes betraying a deeper urgency. "I learned you were in town. I didn't expect to find you in a cafe," he added, glancing at Jack, who was now visibly tense. The older woman cleared her throat. "We were just about to discuss some important matters, Jonathan." The tension thickened in the air, as if invisible strings connected the three of them. Jonathan's gaze darted between the woman, Jack, and Sarah. "What kind of matters?" he asked, his brow furrowing. The older woman gestured to the ring, still resting at the center of their table, a beacon of unresolved emotions. "This ring carries not just memories, but secrets. Secrets that involve all four of us." "What do you mean?" Jonathan's voice sharpened, the change in his demeanor palpable. "There are layers to this story," she continued, her expression unwavering. "Your pasts are intertwined with Cedar Grove, and I believe you all have yet to realize the depth of that connection." Jack shifted in his seat, sensing the gravity of the situation. "What are you getting at? Is this about the ring?" "Yes, and more," the woman insisted. "The journey you're about to embark upon could change everything, not just for Sarah, but for you too, Jonathan." Silence enveloped them. Jonathan's expression shifted, turning contemplative. Sarah could feel the weight of his past like a ghost hovering at the edge of their conversation. "Could it be," Jonathan murmured, "that I somehow play a part in this?" The woman nodded. "You were the missing piece, Jonathan. Unraveling these threads may lead to a truth that you all need to face together." Sarah's heart raced. She wanted to confront her feelings, the anger, the hurt, the longing she had buried for too long. But could she really do that now, with Jonathan standing so close? I thought I'd left Cedar Grove behind," Jonathan confessed, glancing at Sarah. "But maybe it was never meant to be so simple." "True change rarely is," the woman interjected wisely. "This isn't just about the ring, it's about rediscovering what has been lost and understanding how it shapes your future. Each of you carries a piece of this puzzle." Sarah glanced at Jack, who wore an expression of both dread and determination. "We didn't come here to revisit the past," he said, his voice low. "We barely got through it once. But what if facing it could lead to something better?" Jonathan offered, vulnerability creeping into his voice. "What if it could set us free instead?" As their eyes met, Sarah felt a flicker of hope mixed with uncertainty. Understanding surged between them, a silent promise that maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to navigate this tangled web together. The woman's phone buzzed again, breaking the tension. "Look," she said, urgency in her tone. "I have information that may help guide you. But be prepared, what you learn could change everything you thought you knew about each other." Just then, the cafe door opened once again, revealing an unexpected visitor, a middle-aged woman, wearing a look of distress, as if she had stormed in from a storm outside. Sarah's heart sank. Was she another piece to this puzzle? What new revelations awaited them as they ventured deeper into the labyrinth of their intertwined lives? The woman's entrance created a ripple through the cafe. She stood frozen for a moment, scanning the room, her eyes landing on the group at the table. Panic danced in her gaze, and it was clear she hadn't expected to find any familiar faces here, or perhaps she had. "Excuse me, do you mind?" she said, pushing past the tables to reach them. Her voice trembled, the kind of vulnerability that often came in trying times. Sarah couldn't help but feel a knot tighten in her stomach. Something told her this woman was deeply connected to the swirling chaos they were all facing. "Can I help you?" Jack asked, his voice edged with the protective tone he often used around Sarah. The woman took a steadying breath. I heard you were speaking about the ring." She pointed at the small piece of jewelry glinting under the cafe lights, the object of such heated discussion. Yes, the older woman replied, her tone shifting to one of intrigue. And who might you be? I'm Margot, the newcomer said, her brown hair falling around her shoulders in soft waves. And this might sound strange, but I used to work at Cedar Grove. I ran into some old documents once that lead me back to that ring. There's a story buried with it, a truth that needs to be shared. Jonathan frowned, confusion washing over his features. What do you mean? What truth? Margot's eyes darted to Sarah, searching for some kind of connection there. I thought I could ignore it, but it keeps calling to me. It's about what happened back then when things started falling apart. What exactly are you saying? Sarah's voice now trembled slightly, a feeling of dread creeping in. Margot was quiet for a moment, then she took a deep breath. The ring, it's not just a memory of love or loss. It's tied to something much deeper, something that involves you all. I think it holds the key to understanding why things went wrong. Jack shifted uncomfortably. We don't need to dig up old wounds. We've all moved on. Have you? Margot challenged gently, her eyes locking on Sarah's. Do you really believe that? Sarah felt the weight of those words. The past haunted her still, rattling like ghosts in the corners of her mind. I thought I had. But maybe I was wrong. Jonathan leaned forward, curiosity piqued. What do the documents say? Margot's expression hardened, as if grappling with what to reveal. They speak about a secret deal, something that affected more than just relationships. It's south about Cedar Grove's future, financial stakes that were hidden, and lives that have been changed because of it. What does this have to do with us? Jack's question hung heavily, as if they were crossing a threshold into a darkened room filled with shadows. Your lives were all intertwined in ways you can't yet comprehend, Margot pressed passionately. The choices made with that ring caused repercussions that reached far beyond your understanding. As the cafe buzzed around them, Sarah's heart raced. She looked to Jonathan, who seemed both worried and intrigued. This was a tension she hadn't felt in years. Please, what can we do? Sarah whispered, the urgency and fear evident in her voice. Margot held up her hands as if she were weighing options. We can start by uncovering the truth together. But it won't be easy. You need to be ready for the fallout. At that moment, the world outside the cafe felt lifeless, nothing compared to the tempest brewing inside the old walls. The three of them looked at one another, and in that glance, the past and future collided. As they braced themselves for uncertainty, Sarah felt one wild notion fluttering in her chest. Was this really the path to unearthing long-buried truths? Or would unearthing those truths only bring more pain? Before she could voice her thoughts, Margot's phone buzzed sharply in her hand, pulling their attention back. She glanced at the screen, her face paling. It can't be. What is it? Jonathan urged, sensing a shift in the air. It's from the past, something I didn't think I'd have to face again. Margot's expression twisted in a mixture of dread and surprise. In that moment, the shadow of the past loomed larger, as new revelations threatened to break free. What truth lay ahead, ready to leap from the depths of the unknown? Margot's fingers trembled as she stared at her phone, the screen casting a ghostly glow on her face. The cafe around them faded, blurred by the storm of her thoughts. Jack leaned closer, concern tugging at his brow. What does it say? She swallowed hard, her voice barely escaping. It's from Peter. He's been looking for the ring. His family. They're the ones who wanted it back all along. Sarah's heart dropped. Peter. The name was familiar, echoing with memories she thought she had carefully buried. Her breathing quickened as she fought to focus. The Peter from Cedar Grove? But yeah, the very same, Margot cut in, urgency rising in her voice. And he thinks uncovering the truth about the ring might help him reclaim his family's legacy. It's tied directly to a deal they made years ago, and he believes it could change everything. Jonathan leaned back, absorbing this tidal wave of revelation. What kind of deal? Margot's eyes darkened. An agreement that involved deception, manipulation, and the power to ruin lives. Peter's family had everything wrapped around that ring. If we find it, it won't just bring closure for them but could unravel the very foundation of Cedar Grove's world. The hairs on Sarah's arms stood on end. Closure or catastrophe? What if we're just opening a door we can't close? Jack's voice steadied her. Whatever's happened in the past, we've faced it. If there's a chance to make it right, we owe it to ourselves to find out. Margot nodded, her resolve hardening. If I can find the documents again, we might have enough to confront Peter. We deserve to know the truth however painful it may be. As they stood on the precipice of this new journey, Sarah's mind raced with images from Cedar Grove. The laughter, the pain, the love that felt so distant now. What if everything they believed was based on a lie? Could they even trust what they once thought they knew? The door swung open with a jingle, a gust of cold air rushing in, pulling their attention momentarily away from Margot. She glanced over her shoulder before redirecting her focus. The barista hurried to take the order of a group that had just entered, but all Sarah could focus on was the growing anxiety gnawing at her insides. Maybe we should meet Peter, Jonathan suggested, daring to look at Margot. If he's looking for the ring, he might hold pieces of the puzzle we need. Something flickered in Margot's gaze, a mix of apprehension and determination. But he may not want to share that truth with us. Not if it means exposing his family's secrets. Then we make a plan, Jack said definitively. We bring everything we can to the table, unearth the past, and figure out what really went on. Together. As her friends rallied around this idea, Sarah felt both hopeful and afraid. Could confronting Peter really be the key to releasing the haunted memories that lurked in her mind? Or would it plunge them deeper into the darkness? Margot broke the silence, eyes locked on Sarah. You'll need to be certain about what this means for you. Are you ready to face your past? Sarah took a deep breath, wrestling with the weight of those words. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. But I know we can't run from it any longer. Just then, her phone buzzed another incoming message. As she looked down at the screen, a chill ran through her. The message wasn't from a number she recognized. It simply said, I know about the ring. We need to talk. Time is running out. A wave of dread washed over the group. What had they stumbled into? What awaited them on this path they were stepping onto? Whatever it was, they knew one thing for sure: the truth was bound to uncover more than just hidden secrets. It could change everything forever. The message hung in the air like a thick fog, palpable and unsettling. Margot's breath caught in her throat as the implications danced around her mind. Jonathan leaned in closer, trying to catch a glimpse of Sarah's phone, his curiosity igniting a wave of urgency. Who sent it? He pressed, eyes darting from the screen to Sarah's face, seeking answers in her expression. I don't know, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, heavy with uncertainty. It's strange. But it feels tied to everything we've been discussing. Jack placed a comforting hand on Sarah's shoulder. We can't ignore it. We have to find out who this is. It might be a clue or a warning. With a shaking hand, Sarah typed a quick reply. Who is this? She hit send, heart galloping in her chest, anticipation twisting with trepidation. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as they all waited in tense silence. The sounds of the cafe faded into background noise, their entire world narrowing to that tiny screen. When her phone buzzed again, the sound jolted through them, amplifying their shared anxiety. It's from a number I don't recognize, Sarah said, glancing at her friends. It just says, meet me at the old diner on Main. I have information about the ring. Margot's brow furrowed, her gaze drifting to the door as if expecting someone to walk in any moment. The old diner? That place hasn't been used in years. Why would anyone meet there? It's secluded, Jack mused, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. If they have a secret, it'd make sense to meet somewhere off the grid. But is it safe? Margot's voice was strained, every nerve of her body alert. We don't know who this person is. We should at least check it out, Jonathan said, his voice steadier than his heart likely felt. We can't turn back now. This is our chance to get answers. Sarah felt a rush of bravery. As daunting as the thought was, facing Peter and this mysterious messenger could be the start of unraveling her past. Okay. Let us do it. But we need a plan. We stick together, no matter what happens. Margot nodded, her earlier resolve returning as she met Sarah's gaze. We'll go as a group, and keep things low-key. No matter what they say, they're not to be trusted until they prove otherwise, Jack finished, the camaraderie grounding them. They were walking into potential danger, yet a flicker of hope ignited, no matter how faint. As they pushed aside their unease, they all made their way towards the old diner, the chill of the air making them shiver. Each step felt heavier than the last, but their shared determination fueled the journey. Memories of laughter and tears in Cedar Grove coursed through Sarah's mind. Was this the moment they would reshape everything? Arriving at the diner, its faded sign creaked as they pushed the doors open. The air carried a sense of abandonment mixed with unspoken secrets. Dust motes floated lazily in the sunlight spilling through cracked windows, illuminating years of neglect. Anyone here? Jonathan called, his voice echoing in the empty space. They entered cautiously, shoes crunching on shards of broken glass. Margot's eyes darted to the corners of the room, searching for any sign of life. Then, a startled figure stepped from the shadows, blocking their view of the booth in the back. Thank you for coming, the stranger said, their voice steady but tinged with urgency. I know who you are and what you seek. We need to talk. The tension heightened, and Sarah felt every heartbeat reverberate in her chest. Could this person hold the answers they desperately needed? Or had they walked into yet another web of deceit, and just like that, uncertainty flooded her mind again. What truths were about to come crashing down, and would they be prepared for the fallout? The stranger's eyes glinted with a knowledge that could change everything, and with Sarah's future ignited by hope, she took a step forward, ready to confront whatever awaited them. As Sarah stood frozen in the entryway of the old diner, her heart raced with anticipation as the stranger approached. Shadows hovered behind her, the weight of Jack, Jonathan, and Margot's presence lending strength to her resolve. Could this person truly guide them through the murky waters of their intertwined pasts? The stranger stepped into the light, revealing a familiar face. It's been a long time, Sarah, he said, a cautious smile breaking through uncertainty. It was Peter, the very name that twisted her insides with memories of hurt and loss. Peter, she managed, her voice barely a whisper. The words hung in the air, tangled with emotions she had thought buried. Memories flooded her mind, youthful dreams, laughter, but shadowed by the heartbreak that had driven them apart. I know why you're here, Peter continued, his tone shifting to something solemn. You want the truth about the ring and everything that came with it. He gestured for them to sit, his eyes scanning their faces, searching for familiar responses. They settled into the diner booth, the wooden surface creaking beneath their weight. You have information? Jack asked, his voice steady yet charged with urgency. Yes. Peter hesitated for a moment, collecting his thoughts as if weighing each word. But I need you all to understand, I'm not just here to hand over what you want. I need to explain, and it won't be easy. The group exchanged glances filled with apprehension. Go on, Jonathan urged, leaning in. Peter ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. Years ago, the ring represented a promise. A connection between our families, a legacy. But it wasn't just about romance. It was tied to a deal that could have changed everything for Cedar Grove. Sarah's heart began to race. What kind of deal? She asked, her voice firm despite the rising tide of anxiety. It involved land ownership and wealth generated from the diner. He looked directly at her, a depth of regret in his eyes. When things fell apart, it caused a rift between our families. But it also buried secrets that could explain much of what you've been searching for. Jack shifted, his posture tightening. What kind of secrets? Peter took a deep breath, his voice steadying. There were whispers of deceit that intersected love and greed, betrayal that ripped apart not just two families but the spirit of Cedar Grove itself. The ring was more than a token, it represented hope, legacy, and trust that was shattered. That legacy is still important. It can shape the future ahead if we let it. The four of them absorbed this revelation, the weight of its implications heavy in the air. So, what does that mean for us now? Margot questioned, her voice unwavering and resolute. It means we can either choose to break those chains of the past or let them bind us forever. Peter looked at each of them as he spoke, urgency sparking in his eyes. But it's risky. Someone clearly doesn't want this truth to rise. What do you mean? Sarah felt her stomach tighten, bracing for whatever Peter had to say next. Since you arrived back in Cedar Grove, shadows have been moving. Anyone looking to reclaim their lost legacies isn't going to do it in the light. Peter's voice dropped, a conspiratorial tone evolving. But we need to move fast. I have what I can share, but you must agree to face whoever stands in our way. Sarah's heart raced with an intoxicating blend of fear and excitement. She found strength in her friends, their eyes locked on her for direction. I'm ready. We're all ready, she declared, her voice steady, laden with purpose. We won't let the past define us anymore. We will uncover the truth. Peter nodded, his expression a mix of admiration and respect. Then let us begin. We need to gather the materials. I have documents. We'll piece together what was lost. As shadows lengthened outside the diner and silence wrapped around them, Sarah felt the stirring of resilience ignite her spirit. This wasn't just about uncovering the past, it was about reclaiming their lives from the grip of uncertainty. They regrouped, tearing through memories, piecing together the narratives of their families and the lives entwined. They searched through old documents, sifting through the fragments of Cedar Grove's history. Secrets spilled as laughter intermingled with pain until razor-thin threads fell from the past into their present. Days turned into nights as they worked together, unearthing family records, connecting dots, and building an understanding of love and loss that transcended their fractured stories. Finally, Sarah found something that felt monumental: a letter encased in a plastic protector, a plea for forgiveness from a former family member that tied everything in a beautiful, chaotic bow. This, she whispered, awe filtering through her voice. This explains everything. They crowded around her as revelations sprung forth, each unlocking new paths of understanding, but just as hope bloomed, unease crept in a dark energy not far behind them. The realization struck that their journey intersected with those who would prefer the past stayed buried. One afternoon, as clouds gathered in the sky mimicking their worries, Jonathan laid a hand on Sarah's shoulder. Whatever whispers in the dark, we will face it together. With rekindled strength, they agreed to confront their looming shadows and protect what they had found. As they left the diner, each step felt lighter yet more charged. A journey into the unknown beckoned, and in their hearts, they knew the power of transformation was born from fear and courage alike. With unyielding resolve lighting their way, they stepped forward, ready to take a stand against the darkness, to reclaim their legacy, and to finally carve their own paths amidst the ruins of their intertwining pasts. Together, they began to rally, turning their newfound understanding into a weapon against the shadows that threatened to consume them. And no matter what lay ahead, they knew they would face it as one, driven forward by truth, love, and the unbreakable bond forged from loss. The diamond ring sparkled in Sarah's pocket, not just a reminder of promises made but a beacon of hope guiding them toward their new beginning. Now, this is where you come in. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, every click counts. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. What's your biggest takeaway? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of backing our journey together.